Thank you, Haley. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Recharged after coffee? Yeah? Okay. Have you guys seen this before? Show of hands. Okay, quite a few. Okay. Yeah, there's three guys that decided to wear these 33-pound pregnancy suits, which basically equates to taking on the weight of a 9-month pregnant woman. And they decided to do this for a whole month and just go about their day-to-day activities, and they recorded themselves doing it. Let's take a quick look. Okay, that's enough. Interesting, right? Okay, do you guys know who this is? Really? Oh, okay. This is Mariselli. He's a chef and a media personality in the United States, I guess you could say. And he decided to live on a food stamp budget for a week. And for those of you that are not from America, food stamps is a government program that millions of people rely on to feed themselves on a day-to-day basis. And what that translates to is about $1.38 per meal. And this chef decided to go ahead and try to eat that way with $1.38 per meal for a whole week. It's tough, to do that. Do you know who this is, or have you seen this picture before? One big hand over there, a couple. Okay, awesome. This is Patricia Moore, and she traveled throughout the United States and Canada, prosthetically disguised as an older woman. She did this actually for 3 years. She ended up traveling to 116 cities in 14 states and 2 Canadian provinces. So by now you might be wondering, this is so crazy, why are you showing me this? How is this related to design? And I know it's kind of crazy, but it's because what would potentially prompt grown men to wear a pregnant belly for a whole month, or a chef to try to eat on a ridiculous budget of $1.38 per meal, or someone to try and live as an elder person earlier than they should, right? And really, it's because it's really, really hard to see things from other people's perspective. It's really hard to put yourself in their shoes and see life the way that they do on a day-to-day basis. It's hard to really understand the challenges and the constraints that they face on a day-to-day basis. And we try to have empathy with different people, but it's hard, And there's a difference between sympathy and empathy, right? Sympathy, it's way easier. Empathy, it's a little bit harder. With sympathy, you might see a situation that is happening to someone, and you can feel bad, you can feel sorry for them. But with empathy, you will see that same situation, and you will actually feel the way that they're feeling. You will go to that place, the same place emotionally. So it's tough. So let's do this exercise to drive the point home. It's called Let's Get Personal, and this is a safe space. So don't be too scared, but if I might ask everyone to please stand up. Thank you. Okay, now, please remain standing. If you went to college and paid for it yourself, or if you cheated and it was free college for you, woohoo. If you paid your own bills, remain standing. Okay. Now, we're going to do a lot of standing sitting, so get your chair situated. Okay, stand or remain standing if you grew up with siblings. Okay. Stand or remain standing if you have a dependent, children, elder parents, pets. Some of them depends on you financially or otherwise. Okay, a lot of people in the room. Stand if you work with people that are located in a different country, so you have to work with time zones and all that. It's a lot of you. Stand if you regularly speak a second language, like I'm doing right now. You speak a language other than your native one. That's a lot of people. Wow. Stand if you have been laid off or fired before, and don't worry, I won't ask you which one. It happens. Stand if you live in a different country than where you were born. Okay, a few immigrants. Stand if you have ever lost a loved one. Thank you so much for sharing. Please sit down. If you have gone through any of these experiences, and it appears that almost everyone in this room has at least one of them, then deep down, you know the difference between sympathy and empathy. You know the difference between someone telling you, I'm sorry, and expressing, how bad they feel about what you go or have gone through, versus empathy, the rest of the people that were standing there with you, people that have walked in your shoes, so to speak, and people that really understand the emotions that you went through. Check this cartoon out. Really out of touch, right? Like, you really don't know how it feels to have your house burned down. That's bad. And so since we're all sharing a little bit about ourselves, let me share more about me. This is me at a school function when I was growing up in Lima, Peru. I was actually born and raised there. I was in Peru until I was 15 years old. At that point, we moved to the United States. And that transition, it was really, really tough. It was a new language, a new culture, a new education system that I was thrown into half through the year, new traditions, no extended family anymore. It was a really hard time, and frankly, I have sort of blocked out most of what happened that first and a half years. And this is actually one of the few childhood pictures I have, because most of them were left behind in Peru, and they were lost to time. And so I usually don't share this much with people. And when I say to someone in passing, I'm an immigrant, I came from Peru to the United States, and that's all I say, they feel some sort of sympathy. They're like, oh, yeah, it must have been tough or whatnot. Like, that's sympathy. But maybe now that I've shared a little bit more details and you're able to connect with me a little bit more emotionally, you understand my emotions, maybe if you were willing to go out there and feel those uncomfortable feelings with me, and maybe you even connected my experience to something that might have happened to you in the past, then that really is empathy that you might have been starting to get there. And so I've been saying this word a lot, empathy, empathy, empathy. So what is it, right? What is empathy? And there's a lot of definitions out there, but I have a favorite. Is by Roman Krznaric, who's an author, and he's also the founder of the Empathy Museum, which, by the way, has this exhibit where you're actually able to put yourself on somebody else's shoes, literally, so you should check it out. But anyway, this is the definition that I like the most. Empathy is the ability to step into the shoes of another person, aiming to understand their feelings and perspectives, and to use that understanding to guide our actions. Let me read that again. It's the ability to step into the shoes of another person, aiming to understand their feelings and perspectives, and to use that understanding to guide our actions. And the reason why I really like this definition is because it taps onto something that I really believe in, and that I think we all should believe in as designers, which is that empathy should result in action. Empathy should result in action. And all of us designers in the room, I hope, believe in this. Empathy should be that drive that empowers you as a designer to create products that really have impact for people. So what about these three guys with the crazy pregnancy suits, right? They actually use that understanding from their experience to improve on their book, The Book of Mom. A perfect example of empathy directly resulting in action. Mario Batali, actually, and his crazy $1.38 per meal challenge, he used that experience to challenge other people in partnership with New York City's food bank and to really push Congress to strengthen the food stamp program. He said this about his experience: for 1 week, walk in someone else's shoes. Knowledge is power, and by truly understanding what our friends and neighbors are going through, we'll be better equipped to find solutions. Again, empathy having a direct relation to action. And Patricia Moore, disguised as an elder person, she actually used that understanding to invent new products to be used by elders, like these thick rubber-handled potato peelers and a bunch of other kitchen utensils that are now ubiquitous everywhere. And she actually became a very influential campaigner for the rights of senior citizens as well. So all of these people had a goal in mind, and they used what they went through and those experiences to empathize with people, to challenge others, and to build and design better products. And so just like these people here, we have to do the work. We have to go out of our comfort zone in order to build that empathy. It's not something that you're just born with. And when I first moved to the United States, one of those commercials on TV that really got stuck in my head, but this company called Maybelline, it's a makeup company, I don't know if you've heard about it, and their tagline is, maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know if you haven't heard it? But just like makeup, empathy is not something that you're born with. You have to work at it. Ladies know what I'm talking about, they're chuckling. So, like I told you, I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, and growing up, especially during my teen years, I would go to internet cafes, and this is more or less what it looks like. It's just a picture I found online, but it sort of represents what it looks like. And so as a teen, I would save my money, and then I would go to these internet cafes, and what you do is, you pay some money for, to use the internet for 30 minutes, and so you pay the money up front, and then you go into your little cubicle, and you put in your headphones, and you set all your stuff, and then you're so excited to use the internet, and you're going, open the browser, and I'm really excited for this, right, for AIM, and I'm just about to go chat with my friends doing important stuff during those 30 minutes of free internet or internet that I paid for. And then later on, because, I'm cool, I started using MSN Messenger, to chat with friends. And I'm so excited to use these 30 minutes that I paid for, but most of those 30 minutes are actually spent with some version of this, really, just loading and waiting for things to load. So I know what it's like. I have empathy for people that are in low connectivity areas, and these life experiences definitely helped me as a designer, of an immigrant, of the different backgrounds for sure. But I still need a process in order to infuse empathy in my design cycle for sure, especially when I'm designing for people that have different backgrounds than myself and different life experiences. So why go through all this trouble, right? Developing empathy, as you might have seen yourself during the exercise or listening to my story or some of the other examples, it takes a lot out of you emotionally, it takes a lot out of you intellectually. But it's really, really important that we do that. It's really, really important for our products, because unless we really understand people and what they go through on a daily basis, what their goals are, their challenges and constraints, then we can't really have an impact. We can't really create products that make an impact in their lives. And we can't really envision how our products might be able to solve their problems. So at Facebook, I design video experiences for people in emerging markets. And when I first started working on this, I started thinking back to my own experiences with videos, which look something like this. The cat videos, the dog videos, the horse videos. I'm an animal person, don't judge me. But I wasn't thinking about, the guy in India who goes to college on Friday morning and then stays in college all day just wasting his time because he wants to wait for nighttime to catch his favorite cricket match with a free college Wi-Fi. I wasn't thinking about him. So it's important that I understand the behavior of people like that. In this case, the behavior, staying until late to watch the cricket match. And most importantly, perhaps, that I understand the motivation behind that behavior, which in this case is, of course, to be able to get free Wi-Fi to be able to watch said match. And so all of these experiences really make an impact on people's lives if we're able to really solve a need for them, meet a need and solve a problem for them. And that's really important for us at Facebook because one of our values is to focus on impact. And at Facebook, we are designing for people around the world. So every single demographic, from teens to elder people, all languages from all countries. So empathy is super, super important for us, and it's something that we take very, very seriously. Okay, so hopefully by now you're convinced that you need empathy in your process and you're excited about it. So practically speaking, how can we do this, right? How can we infuse empathy into our design process? And I don't have like the answers here, but I can share with you 5 real-life examples of things that we do at Facebook, and hopefully those will help you as well. So this is a picture of the Video Emerging Markets team. Last September, we went to India, and we went there to observe what people do, how they live their lives, and to participate as well in some of their life experiences. So we went to, the mall, and we just, hanged out the way that they do. We just, chill, sit, just look around, be on your phones every so often. We, shop for phones, as you do, and we saw like the kinds of phones that they have over there. Then we haggle for phones, or we failed, but we tried to haggle for phones. We installed Facebook, as you do, as you all should. We search for free Wi-Fi, of course, to use Facebook. And this kind of ethnographic research of just observing, but then also us participating in their life experiences, it's really, really helpful to be able to focus on the people that we're designing for. And I know that's probably something that you all know. Before starting any project, it's paramount that you understand who you're designing for, really, and really, really understand them, more than just like, I'm designing for people, or people 18 to 24. Really understand who you're designing for. And we can't think of people we're designing for like this anymore in metropolitan areas in New York City, getting out of a cab and using the latest smartphone and using data without care, because that's just not the way it actually is in reality. The next billion people are coming from emerging markets, the next billion people coming onto the internet, and the next billion people coming onto Facebook. And so we can't think of them like this. So going there and doing this research really helps us crush assumptions like the kinds of phones that they're actually using. Like, of course, there's no iPhone. And you can see that in the data, of course, but there's nothing like actually going there and seeing the variety of options that they have and actually experiencing what they're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. It's also helpful to really understand the context and the constraints that they face. And it's really helpful in general just to start building empathy. So as we go ahead and understand the people really well, then we start to uncover some of the problems that they're facing and start thinking, okay, this is some of the problems that we need to be solving. And when we do that, we try and frame those problems the right way. So there's people problems and there's company problems, and they're not the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with company problems. We have them. They're mapped to internal goals. But as designers, the most important thing for us are the people problems. That's what's top of mind every day, the people problems. And if framed correctly, people problems is what really allow us to have empathy for people, to allow us to see how they might want to use our product, and allow us to envision how our product might solve some of their problems. So if we go back to the guy in India, framing people problems, practically speaking, it means using real user language and clearly defining the problem. So it would be something like, I want to watch cricket matches on Friday nights. Help me do that. I hate having to stay in school all day to watch cricket matches because of the free Wi-Fi. And, probably you would phrase it a little bit better, but that's sort of the granularity that we're going for people problems, so that we know exactly what it is that we're trying to solve. And then, of course, we share that with the whole team, overall, to make sure that anyone that is touching the product at any point is very, very clear on the people problem that we're actually trying to solve. So I was talking to a colleague, and we were, talking philosophically about design, as you do. And I was, probably ranting, and somewhere in there I said, there are no answers, just questions. And my colleague was like, whoa, that was really good. You should write it down. And I was like, really? That's really good. Huh. So I did write it down, and I was like, yeah, that is really good. Maybe I should write it down somewhere so that it's on my book. I don't have a book, and I don't think I will, but maybe in the future I'll have a book, and then I can include this quote. Or maybe I should start updating my Facebook profile, the About section, and put this, because it sounds really good. And I was like, wait, I started thinking about that, and I was like, wait up. Let me back up, and why don't I just look it up real quickly, And I did, and it's everywhere. It's already in 1 million books, and it's everywhere online. I can't even find who actually started saying this. And so I say this because sometimes it's really easy to get carried away by your ideas, and then you just go with your gut feeling. and then you end up at a place that you don't even know. And so it's the same thing with our design process. Sometimes we get carried away, and throughout the day, different priorities come up. There's different tasks that come your way, and then an engineer comes all of a sudden and asks you a design question, and then your gut feeling is to just answer it. Just answer it with what you know. And it's really, really important as we're making design decisions to really stop and think for a second. We're not answering these questions with our own personhood. We have to think about it from the people that we're designing for, from their perspective. And so sometimes we have to take the time to dig into that empathy again throughout the crazy design process. And sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. And when it's harder for us, we go ahead and we conduct user interviews, which are really helpful. And we might do this in people's homes. We might do this in more controlled environments. We might do this in the lab, at the offices. And as designers, we might be present physically. We might be present remotely. Or user researchers may take the lead, and then we get debrief afterwards. And this really helps tap into that empathy again, and allows us to answer questions with people in mind. And of course, it's not feasible every time somebody comes with a question for us to go ahead and say, hold on, let me run a user interview. But if we're feeling particularly disconnected to the people we're designing for, or the question that comes to us is a question that leads to more questions that makes us think whether the people problem is still the right one, then it's a good idea to go ahead and run those. So something that I like to do every so often, I volunteer with some of my colleagues, and we teach workshops at senior centers and veteran centers, and we teach them how to use Facebook, some of the Facebook basics. A lot of them actually already have Facebook installed, so we just teach them more advanced tricks. Sometimes they're creating their pages or their groups, and sometimes, and I say this with all due respect, sometimes I feel like this.
Instead of mailing everyone my vacation photos, I'm saving a ton of time by posting them to my wall.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's so quick. It's just like my car insurance. I save 15% in just 15 minutes.
I saved more than that in half the time.
I'd unfriend you.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That's not how any of this works. Sometimes I feel like that, but sometimes I'm actually at the opposite side of that interaction. So this is Facebook Lite. It's one of our Facebook apps. You might have never seen or heard of it before, but it's a version of our app that it has a very small footprint, so it's really good for low-end devices. Therefore, it's primarily marketed for emerging markets, but anyone can download it. If you're on Android, download Facebook Lite to check it out. And when I began designing for this platform, it wasn't Beatrice the one saying silly things. It was actually me asking silly questions about the platform and how to design for the platform, about the people that use Facebook Lite and whether they're the same people that I was designing for before. And in this case, it proved really, really helpful to have a full-fledged Facebook Lite design team in Tel Aviv, Israel. So I went over there, and I got all these knowledge dump from all the designers there. And that was really, really helpful to really understand the people that I would be designing for, learning this from people that are already immersed and already have a really good understanding of people. So subject matter experts sometimes can be sort of a shortcut in building empathy, and it's not a replacement, but it will help to fill certain gaps for sure, since these people are so embedded already and have the deep understanding of the people that we're designing for. And sometimes it's another team like Facebook Lite, or sometimes it's the user research team that we go to and ask questions, because they're constantly running surveys and constantly have their mind thinking about the people. Who here has heard about 2G Tuesdays? Okay. A few, like 4 or 5. Well, every Tuesday at Facebook, we are encouraged to use a 2G connection and to use our product that way. And the reason we do that is to really experience our product the way people in low connectivity areas do. The product can feel really different if you use it in 2G. The features can even look different as well. So it's really important that we do this. It helps us build better products. And so 2G Tuesdays is helping us with empathy for low connectivity areas, but whatever it might be, the point being, it's really important and really helpful to have sort of a routine or a constant check-in or an empathy reminder. And so we do that, the 2G Tuesdays. The K through 12 team, who's the team that's working on education initiatives, for example, every so often they go to schools and they talk to teachers and students, and that helps them remind themselves of empathy. Or the Protect and Care team, they go and talk to suicide experts as they work on compassion projects, and that helps them remind them of empathy. And the whole company is excited and invited to participate on getting Android phones and just having various test devices on their desk so that we can experience Facebook the way that different people do around the world. And so whatever it might be, empathy reminders can be really helpful. And we all go out of our way. We all do the work so that we're actually having empathy resulting in action as it should. So these are some of the tools that we use at Facebook to really help us transform empathy into action: ethnographic research, people problems, user interviews, subject matter experts, and empathy reminders. And we do all this so that the products that we build are actually meeting a need, solving a problem, and most importantly, making an impact on people. And I hope that this will prove helpful to you as well. Thank you.